Hey everyone, this is going to be a quick Kickstarter preview video for RM Printable Terrain. Their upcoming Kickstarter on June the 2nd is going to be featuring their first line of sci-fi terrain, which is Arvalon 8. If you haven't seen my previous video for their terrain, go ahead and click here. But I've been impressed with kind of STL files and the quality of the terrain that they've produced in the past, so I'm excited about what they're going to produce here. This is just a small sampling of what's going to be available in the set. What I don't have printed out, they're going to have 2 spaceships as well as miniatures for the first time. Go ahead and check out the page to see what kind of miniatures and spaceships are going to be available and hopefully unlocked. But this terrain obviously looks really good if you're playing Star Wars Legion or any other game. I actually don't play Legion, but these are my Star Wars figures from Imperial Assault. I'm definitely going to be using this terrain for Star Breach, and if you want to check out my videos on Star Breach, go ahead and click here. But this set is pretty versatile, and so will work for a number of different sci-fi sets. And at the end of the video, I have a quick tutorial on how I painted up these pieces. And so make sure you check that out as well. It's really simple. One of the things that I really like is that these walls are completely modular, so you can build these out to be as big or as little as possible. I also really like that they have platforms on top. That's one of the features that I look for in walls. Also, I think this landing pad looks really cool as well, and will definitely be a good fit for the 2 spaceships that they're coming out with. They're offering a lot of different kinds of scatter terrain, and that's one of the things that I really like about this set, because I always feel like I have plenty of buildings but not necessarily good scatter terrain. So as you can see here, they have some rocks that are really good, as well as barriers as well. I didn't print out all the barriers, but check out some of these photos from the Facebook page about all the different kinds of barriers that they have and scatter terrain. I also really like these craters. I've been looking for good craters available for 3D printing, and I really like these ones a lot. And obviously you can scale all of these pieces to be however big or small that you want. In fact, after having printed these walls out, these are 5-inch tall walls. I would probably scale them down maybe 70% to make them more like 3 inches high. But obviously you can scale these to your heart's content. And I really like their rocks as well. Just like in the Stormguard fantasy set that they created hills that are really useful, I feel like these rocks are super useful as well, especially since you can put miniatures on them. They're flat enough that you can put miniatures on them without falling off. And you can scale these to be whatever size that you want, because there's so much detail on them that even if you scaled them up quite a bit bigger than what I have here, I think it would still look really good. One of the things too that you want to do, because this is modular, is make sure that you print off a little piece with the column and the wall sliced, just to make sure that your printer is producing enough tolerance that they will be able to slide and slip into place. And so make sure you do that before you commit to printing off a whole wall. But I do really think that this set looks good, and whatever paint scheme that you put on them, I think it will add a lot of flavor to your gaming table. Once the Kickstarter goes live, I am going to put a link down in the descriptions below, so make sure you check that out. But head on over to Kickstarter when you have a chance and see if this is a set that you would be interested in printing out for your wargaming table. As I mentioned previously, I'm going to go ahead and end the video with a quick tutorial on how to paint this. I'm using the exact same color scheme that I used for my Warcry Defiled Ruin set, and you can see that here. Please like this video and subscribe, as I will continue to show you videos about different kinds of terrain that you can 3D print for your wargaming table. And also check out my Patreon page, because for the month of June 2020, I will be giving away this sampler set to one of my lucky patrons. And so check that out in the links below. Otherwise, happy gaming, happy hobbying. We'll see you next time. So the first step is just to put an even coat of red primer spray paint on everything. This is sort of the rusty red primer for automobiles. You can use any brand. I have Rust-Oleum here, but any brand will do. And what's important is to cover the underside, because we're gonna, with the lighter color, angle down. So you want to make sure that the red is really hitting the underside, which is why I've flipped most of these pieces over to be upside down and hit it from the underside. Next up is this warm caramel from 2x Ultra Cover. It's sort of like an orangish tan color. And what's important here is you're just gonna shoot from above and just spray down at a 45-degree angle. And you can leave parts of it the rust color, so you don't have to get it on there evenly if you want some variation in color. So you can be spotty with it if you want, just to give some variations. So check out how you can see a little bit of the two-tone nature here with the lighter parts up top and the bottom parts the darker rusty red. I'm going to grab this light beige and look at the descriptions below because they discontinued this color and I needed to go to Lowe's to get a sample small pot of this made, and so in the descriptions below you can see the numbers if you want to get this made. But any kind of light beige like this will work, and you're just going to dry brush it with a stiff brush like what I'm doing here, and it really pops out the details. You're going to do the same with the rest of the terrain and focus on making the top parts of the terrain lighter than the bottom parts. So I put more of a coat on top than I do towards the bottom so that the top parts are lighter. And really, you just want to get the details in the edges so that it makes those stand out more. But that's what you're aiming for right here. Next, I'm going to grab some black and again dry brush some black into the middle of these craters with a stiff brush like this so that you get sort of a faded effect where it's the darkest in the center and then fades out towards the edges. And this is pretty simple actually, just to get a blasted effect. And then with a wet brush, I am going to color in all of the parts that I want to be black. And this includes the doors. Once I do that, I'll use my light blue and use that to highlight. Obviously you can use gray if you want, but I like this sort of bluish tint to the black. And I'm just dry brushing the panels and everything that I painted black. And just hitting it with this highlighting that's happening here with the dry brushing. You especially want to hit the edges like what I'm doing here, because it makes the details pop out a little bit more when you're hitting the edges. And so this is actually fairly simple to do, but it has good effect on bringing out your terrain pieces. I'm going to grab this rockwood red, and you can pick any other color that you want, but I like my barrels to be red, and so as well as this fuel tank. And then I'm going to grab some metallic silver and go over other bits and parts, and you can obviously pick which parts you want to be silver or whatever color that you want it to be. I'm going to grab some antique gold, which counts as a mustard yellow, and do these triangles on the fuel tanks. And then I'm just going to put Agrax Earthshade as a wash over the red. And you can streak it down if you want to create a streak effect. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, it's very easy to paint these pieces and make all the details stand out. And so these pieces have a really cool amount of detail, especially in the walls, that make them stand out with this dry brush effect. So thanks again. We'll see you next time.